What's up guys, and welcome back to the Bonsai-En YouTube channel. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be discussing this Japanese black pine and some of the work that we'll be doing moving forward post potting up. So if you want to learn more about that, stick around. Alright, so as pointed out in the intro, this is a Japanese black pine that was potted up this spring season. Before that, it was in development, so it was in an organic mix, just growing. That's all we're concentrating on. Now, last season, before it got potted up, we did a lot of major cuts on it, including a branch up in here that we had to cut off that was really thick, cut a lot of the big branches off the top of the tree, and then we left it for a whole nother year to recover. Now this spring season that's just past us now, we're just about to go into summer here in Australia, so it's been in this pot now for about 2.5 months, I would say. So it's just gone into the bonsai pot this year. So moving forward, this is usually the time where people start to get a bit antsy now that it's in a bonsai pot. They want to get that shape and make it look like a bonsai straight away. Okay, but that's not the plan for this tree, and I'm going to explain why. Now, as you can see, this tree looks a little bit funky right now, okay? I'll give you a quick rotation while I talk so you can see the whole way around the tree. But you can see that the growth on the tree is all facing basically one way, especially these side branches here. They seem to be facing down without any wire on them, and I'll explain why in a second, okay? So when this tree was put into this bonsai pot, it had an angle change. So that's why you can see that all this growth is kind of pushing to one side, because before it was put into a bonsai pot, it was growing more or less up like that. So that's why all the growth is, facing the way that it's facing. Now, I don't want to just come in right now and start wiring shape into this tree. And also decandling. So we're coming up into our decandling season now. And this tree won't be decandled. This is going to be let grow all the way until next year, okay? So right now, for this Japanese black pine, it's all about concentrating on the health of the tree, letting it establish roots in this pot, letting it establish its health in the tree and its energy, keeping all these needles and growth on to help that tree establish itself into the bonsai pot. So no decandling this year, obviously, then no bud selection. All the needle plucking was done prior, last season, to distribute the energy across the tree, okay? And then come next year, we'll make some more decisions on branching and stuff. But moving forward now that the tree's been in the pot and the new mix for 2.5 months or so, it should have some good new roots in the pot. It's very stable in the pot. It's been tied in very well, as you can see. If I move that, the pot actually moves. I wouldn't recommend doing this for people out there, but I'm really confident in, see if I move the tree, the soil surface does not move at all, okay? So this tree is structurally sound in that pot. So the reason I wanted to show you that, and once again, do not do that with your trees. But the reason why I wanted to show you that is because the work that I want to do on this tree now is actually a little bit of wiring now that we're past the spring season, or we're almost past it, we're coming out of it. But what I want to do is I want to lay some of these branches out and make them more photosynthetically efficient, okay? So say this branch, for example, it's, heading forward. If we can get these out and laid out like this, all the better, okay? They've got all their own sunlight. If we can move, this guy, move this around for you. If we can move this guy more around the back here and then move these ones out into this gap, then they all get their own sunlight, okay? So I want to wire this tree out in such a way that it's not going to look good once we're finished, but I know that all the branches are going to be photosynthetically efficient. It's going to be getting the most energy, okay, from that wiring. And then next year, I can come in and make some decisions on what I'm going to cut off, what I'm going to keep, decandling, wiring and all that kind of stuff. Okay, next year as well, also I need to come through and start working back some of these sections that were cut back on the tree for taper. Okay, working back some of the big stumps that were left inside of the tree, some of the bigger branches. And, you know, as I said, this is not all about making this tree look like a bonsai right at this minute. We need to do everything in the correct steps for this tree. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go through and I'm going to wire this tree out, okay, and we're going to lay all the branches out into their spots. We'll do a little time lapse of me doing that work, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss what's been done and why. Alright, so I just wanted to bring you guys in nice and close for a minute so we could have a look at a few things. Now, I know you can't tell where on the tree we are at the moment, but right now that's not going to be too important. So we've got this branch here, so it comes from the same spot off the tree and then it ramifies off there, and then as you can see it ramifies twice again. So we've got some ramification here, then we've also got some ramification up here. Now, a few things we want to do. One, we want to kind of bring this out into this area here, rather than, you can see how that's coming straight towards the camera there. We kind of need it back out this way a little bit, okay? So the main branching of this, we want to fill this gap out the back of the tree here. We've also got this one over the back here. This one's a lot longer and a lot bigger, okay? And you can see that this growth here, when I let it go, it sits right on top of this growth out the back here, okay? So really we want to move that growth out into its spot. We want to move this growth into its spot. But what I wanted to point out too, when we're looking at things like Japanese black pine, now people might start wiring this out to be a branch. You think, okay, well it ramifies down here, okay, 1, 2, and then we come up into here and we've got some ramification, another 2, okay, and then we've got another 2 out here, and then we come through, we decandle in summer, and then we get another 2 here, another 2 here, another 2 here, another 2 here. But that's not the right mindset for this tree, okay? So what needs to happen here is we're gonna wire these out so they can get as much sun as possible, okay? But what we really need is we need to really take care of these guys back here, and we need to get some back budding, okay, in nice and close. Now, you probably can't see real well, but we've got buds in here, okay, these little buds in here. We're probably going to favour these, and we've got quite a few of them in there, okay? We've got them all the way up into here, where my finger is there. You can't really see it on camera, but we've got some small little buds in there, and we've got some buds happening here. And if we can get some little buds happening down in here, okay, right in nice and close, just past this fork, then we're going to be winning, okay? Because what we want to do is we eventually want to compact this tree in, okay? So this is up near the top of the tree. Where I'm touching just here, I know it's out of focus over there, but this is around where the apex of the tree is going to be. And then this branch is just under it. So we don't want our apex, you know, the edge of our apex finishing here, and then our next branch is all the way out here. You can see what that does to the proportion. So what we need is our branch to be further in on the tree, okay? So as we're wiring this out, we want to be really careful with these needles that we don't knock these off, okay? And we want to keep all this growth on out here, because that's going to give us our best chance of back budding, okay? Backwards in towards the tree. Now, you might be saying, well, why don't you just cut these off right now and just concentrate on growing these little buds out? And I would say that's a really good question. Because if I was to cut this, and this off and just leave those little buds there, chances are this branch is going to die, because these buds here and these needles, they don't have enough strength to pull the sap up into this branch, okay? We need all these needles out here, okay? We need all these to do that work for us, okay? To pull all that sap up. All this here, that, and that, that's this year's candles. That's all this year's growth, okay? That's popped out. This is where we were last year, and this is where we are this year, okay? So we lay this out, keep it all on, get some energy and plenty of sap flowing up into this branch, okay? And then hopefully we can get some buds up in here. Once we get the buds up in here, once these get nice and strong and grow out, we can cut these back and concentrate on them. But you can see, and this is the reason why I just wanted to, before we went through and started wiring, just explain this kind of thing, because this is the kind of thing that confuses people, and where they get caught up in bonsai design. They think, well, how am I supposed to work with these really long leggy branches out here? You know, how do I get those really compact trees that I see in shows or in Japan? And that's, with black pine at least anyway, that's how we do it. We need to let these little buds grow. Once they grow out and become strong enough, then we can cut these guys back, wire them out, and begin that process. But right now, this tree is still very early on. This tree's probably got another 4 to 5 years to go before it will actually be showable, okay? So this is just all the work that we need to do. But I'm going to go through now and I'm going to start wiring out the tree. Alrighty, so now we've set some of the branches out with some wire, and as I mentioned, it's not, detail wiring or wiring the style of the tree. It's more wiring to open the tree up, lay the branches out, get as much sun as possible, get it healthy in this pot, and then next year we can concentrate on a few more design aspects. Now, as you can see, I've got a few things written up on the whiteboard here behind the tree, okay? So let's just discuss a few things moving forward with this tree, what we might want to concentrate on. I guess you could say this would be almost like a critique on my own tree. So, as you can see here, let's talk about the first thing, the direction that the tree is coming out of the soil, okay? So if we want a harmonious design, obviously we're going to want the direction to go that way, okay? So in this case, our first branch is also our directional branch. But as you can see here, I've got let grow. Now the reason for that is one, this branch isn't too much thicker than this branch up here, okay? So we want our first branch to be our thickest branch on the tree. So for now, we're going to let that guy grow and thicken up, okay? We've got plenty of little buds and things back in here that we can come back to later. But for now, we're going to let these guys just elongate and run. And we're going to try and thicken this first branch up, okay, so it can be our thickest branch. And that way it's thicker than any of the other branches moving up the tree. Now on this side, you can see here, for this branch, I've got cut back, okay? So with this harmonious design that we're going for, this side of the tree will be compacted, while the other side of the tree will be a little bit longer, okay, to give us that kind of balance. And as you can see, when I've put this in the bonsai pot, I've planned for this, and I've planted the tree a little bit more on this side than I have on that side, which will allow for all that, that longer growth on that side and the longer branches to exist out here in this negative space, or what would have been negative space if we didn't fill it with branches. So we've got less room on this side of the pot than we do on this side of the pot, but this side of the tree is going to be compressed, okay? So we're going to come back in and we're going to utilize like these little buds in here, okay? All this will get cut off. And then we'll come back in and we'll utilize like these little buds. And then up here, you've also seen that I've got cut back, okay? Cut back here. This is where the arrow is pointing. So we're going to cut back here and utilize little buds that are up in here, okay? So we can't cut back now because these buds aren't strong enough to bring that sap up into the branches. But once these buds take off, we can cut back and we can compact the tree in, okay? So compact on this side. And then up in the top with the apex, up here you can see the apex. So obviously once again, this stuff up here, this will go, okay? We'll get rid of that. And then we'll continue on with these little buds up in here, okay? And that's what we'll make our apex out of. And we'll fill this area. As you can see, we've got the shorter side of the apex here, and then the longer side of the apex down there. And that will give us our harmonious design in the tree. So all this up here will end up getting cut back to these smaller little buds, and we'll basically start again. Once we can get them little buds, strong enough to take over the sap flow, then we'll be able to cut back to them. So this is just some of the mindset that you've got to get yourself into with bonsai, rather than just, if we've just put this in a bonsai pot and then your mindset goes straight to, okay, now I need to make this tree look good straight away. There's a lot of work that goes into making the tree look good, and there's a lot of forethought going forward. And, like I've mentioned, laying these branches out and knowing that we're going to come back to these little buds in here. We're going to come back to these little buds here. We're going to come back to these little buds up here, and so on and so forth. Even in this side of the tree, once we let all this grow out, we've got these little buds that we can cut back to here for taper in the branch, because we don't want a big thick branch all the way out to here. So we're going to have thick branch here as it leaves the tree, cut back to these for taper, grow these on, get our length out, and then, so we know what our future plan for the tree is. Up in here, okay? Even though these branches come right out to the front here, you can see almost how long they are. This is not what we're going to use. We're going to use these buds up in here, these little buds up in here, okay? So I hope in my long-winded way of doing this video, I hope that this has helped you guys understand a little bit more that once we go into a bonsai pot, that doesn't mean that we just start straight away going to aesthetics and trying to wire the tree out to look good straight away. Because as I said, if I tried to wire these branches out and the tree's going to look horrible. I mean, look at the tree right now. I've just worked on it and it still doesn't look like a bonsai. It doesn't look like a good bonsai, okay? There's still lots of stuff wrong with this tree. But as we move forward, if we put the right steps in place, we can make this a nice tree. As I said, we've got to, work back up the top here and get some of this worked back. Maybe we can make some gins, maybe we don't. I don't know. And we see that, once we start doing that work, we'll be able to figure that out. But for now, we've developed the tree, okay? We've got the thickness that we want in the trunk, okay? We've laid our roots out. We've got it in our good soil, okay? I've got it in my nice bonsai pot here. And moving forward, now we can start concentrating on, doing some ramification and branching. But once we get those buds, okay? We know roughly where we want our design to be. As you can see, I've written it on the whiteboard behind. So we've got our future plan moving forward. Now I hope this has helped you guys out, okay? If you want to learn more fundamental stuff like this, the stuff that does not get taught, okay, head on over to www.thebonsaidojo.com. That's Bonsai-En's newest online learning platform. Right now we have our Bonsai Beginners course up. And I can tell you right now, there's 4 hours of footage in that beginner's course. It's very, very cheap, okay? I've had so many people telling me you're selling this for way too cheap, but it's not about making a ton of money, okay? It's good to be able to support myself by doing that stuff, but I want to sell it cheap enough that people will actually jump over there and do it, because I believe that the stuff that's in that course, the fundamental knowledge that I believe people need to know for bonsai is all in there. 4 hours worth of stuff. We talk about, stuff like this where, normally when people pull a tree like this out, they'll just start wiring it and trying to make it look good. That's the demonstration model. But we need to learn actual bonsai, okay? Most of the bonsai work that we do is boring and tedious, okay? Not like demonstrations where we see people like creating big jins and sharis and doing massive bends and really, really wrenching on a tree to get it to look like a bonsai by the end of the demonstration. This is the stuff that we do where we take 3, 4, 5 years, slow little steps, and then we get that awesome looking bonsai tree. So head on over www.thebonsaidojo.com and check out that Bonsai Beginners course. So that's going to do it for today's videos, guys. Links down in the description below to our premium blog. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll also share links down below where you can get our bonsai merchandise, our Juniper ebook and all that good stuff. But until next time, enjoy your bonsai journey.